I'm Charlie Munger. I'm 99 years old. I was vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway alongside Warren Buffett for over 40 years, and my net worth is approximately $2.6 billion. But let me tell you something nobody wants to hear. At 30 years old, I went through a devastating divorce that left me with almost nothing. I lost my 9-year-old son to leukemia while I was struggling to pay the medical bills. I had to rebuild my financial life from scratch while facing the worst pain a father can endure. So when people over 50 ask me, and they do ask me, Charlie, if you had to start 2026 with almost nothing at 50 years old, what would you do? I don't need to guess. I lived it. I had to rebuild. And if I had to do it all over again today, starting the year at 50 years old without the $1 million I should have, I know exactly what I would do. This isn't theory. This isn't hope. This isn't some motivational speech about abundance mindset. I'm talking about a specific plan, month by month, based on decades of practical experience investing alongside the richest man in the world. A plan that works regardless of market conditions, inflation, or your exact age, whether you're 52 or 62. Because here's the truth most people over 50 don't understand. Starting late isn't your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is you don't have a plan. You're winging it. You're following generic advice from financial advisors who make money off the fees in your accounts and wondering why after 30 years of work, you still don't have $1 million saved. I'm going to give you the exact plan I would use. The same principles that took me from almost nothing at 30 to billions at 99. And if you start 2026 with less than $100,000 saved and over 50 years old, these might be the most important 45 minutes you invest all year. Because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do. Month by month, dollar by dollar, no confusion, no excuses, just the plan. Before we begin, I need to make something very clear. Nothing in this video is personal financial advice. Think of this as education and a framework to help you make your own decisions. I'm not a registered financial advisor, and I don't know your specific situation. You should consult a qualified professional before making any investment decisions. Now let's begin. First, let me tell you something that might surprise you. If I had to start 2026 at 50 years old with less than $50,000 in my retirement account, I wouldn't be scared. I'd be excited. Because starting late at 50 gives you 3 major advantages that rich people don't have anymore and that 25-year-olds haven't earned yet. First advantage, you're in your peak earning years. At 50, you're probably making more money now than you've ever made in your life. You have experience, you have skills, you have a network. A 25-year-old making $40,000 a year will take decades to get where you already are. You don't need to build your career, you just need to stop wasting the money you already make. Second advantage, your mistakes now are cheap compared to the cost of future mistakes. If you try something this year and adjust course, you lost a few $1,000s. That's nothing. That's tuition. But if you do nothing and hit 70 with no money, that mistake costs the rest of your life. You won't get another chance to fix it. So your mistakes now are affordable. You can experiment, you can adjust. You still have time to correct course. Third advantage, you have clarity that young people don't have. When you're 25, retirement feels like science fiction. It's so far away you can't visualize it. At 50, you feel the urgency. You see friends retiring. You feel back pain you didn't have at 30. You know the clock is running. And that clarity, that urgency is fuel. It's the difference between people who talk about changing their life and people who actually change it. Now, I need to be honest with you. Starting late is an advantage, but only if you actually do something with it. Most people who start 2026 with less than $100,000 saved will end 2026 in exactly the same place. They'll waste another year. They'll make New Year's resolutions on January 1st and break them by January 15th. They'll blame inflation, blame the government, blame the economy, and 12 months from now, they'll be sitting in exactly the same place, 1 year older, wondering why nothing changed. Don't be that person, because I'm about to give you the plan that guarantees you won't come back here next year in the same situation. If you follow what I'm about to tell you, and I mean actually follow it, not just nod along and go back to your old habits, by the end of this year, you'll have more money saved than the last 5 years combined. You'll have a clear plan to hit $1 million, and you'll be on a trajectory that leads to dignified retirement instead of financial misery. I've watched this plan work for 70 years. It worked for me at 30 when I was rebuilding. It worked in the 1980s when our investment firm was small. It works today, and it will work for you this year. But you need to commit to it. Not for a week, not for a month, not for 6 months, for the entire year. All 12 months, because wealth isn't built in moments. It's built over years. And this year, 2026, is the year you stop wasting time and start building. So here's the plan. 7 specific steps. Each one builds on the previous one. By the end of this process, you'll know exactly what to do in January, what to do in March, what to do in June, and where you need to be by December. Let's start with step 1. Step 1 starts right now, in January, and it's simple. Forensic audit of financial bleeding. If you're starting the year with less than $100,000 saved at 50 years old, it's because money is leaving your life faster than it should. That needs to stop immediately, not next month, not when you feel more stable. Today, here's what I would do on January 1st if I woke up at 50 years old with a weak retirement account. I would print out my bank statements and credit card statements from the last 3 months, not view them on screen, print them on paper, grab a red pen, go through every single line item looking for what I call financial carelessness. Car payment. If I'm sitting here with less than $100,000 saved at 50 years old, I can't have a $700 a month car payment. I can't. I sell the car, buy an $8,000 used Toyota Camry in cash, and I eliminate $700 a month in payments, plus $200 in full coverage insurance. That's $900 a month I just freed up. Over 12 months, that's $10,800. That's not nothing when you're trying to get to $1 million. Eating out done. The average American family spends $300 a month at restaurants. That's $3,600 a year disappearing without building any assets. I cook every meal at home. Chicken, rice, vegetables, eggs, beans. I can eat well on $200 a month. That's another $200 saved annually. Subscriptions. Netflix, Spotify, Disney Plus, gym membership you don't use, subscription box that arrives every month. All cancelled. I can read books from the library for free. I can do push-ups in my living room. I can watch YouTube for free. That's another $100 a month, $200 a year. House that's too big. This is the one that hurts most, but it's the most important. Many people over 50 are living in a 4-bedroom house because they raised their kids there. The kids are gone or leaving soon. You're paying to heat, cool, insure, and pay taxes on 2,000 square feet of empty space. If you downsize to a smaller house or apartment and free up just $800 a month, that's $9,600 a year. I'm not telling you to live like this forever. I'm telling you to live like this for 10 years, 1 decade, 120 months, and in return, you get your financial life back. Most people won't do this. They'll say, I worked hard, I deserve to enjoy life, while they're scared to open the mailbox because of bills. That's why they stay broke. I'm 99 years old with billions in net worth. And I'll tell you something, the only thing you deserve when you're behind financially at 50 years old is to get out of that situation. Everything else is a luxury you haven't earned yet. So that's January. Complete forensic audit. Eliminate everything that isn't essential. Live on less than you ever imagined possible, because every dollar you don't spend this month is a dollar that starts working for you next month. Step 2, February. This month is dedicated to one thing: activating your tax superweapon. Here's what most people over 50 don't understand. The United States government created a tax advantage specifically for you, not for 25-year-olds. For you. It's called the 401k catch-up contribution, and you need to activate it immediately. Here's how it works. Workers under 50 can contribute up to approximately $23,000 a year to their 401k plans. But the moment you turn 50, you get an additional catch-up contribution of $7,500. That's a total of $30,500 a year you can shield from income tax. Most people ignore this. They contribute 6% because that's what HR suggested 10 years ago, and they never changed it. That's a thousands of dollars mistake. Here's the math most people miss. If you make $85,000 a year and you're in the 24% tax bracket, every dollar you put in your 401k saves you 24 cents in taxes. If you max out your contribution at $3,500, you save $7,320 in federal taxes that year alone. That's not counting state taxes. Here's the secret nobody tells you. You take that $7,320 in tax savings and invest it too. You open a Roth IRA and put that $7,320 in there. Now you have $3,500 growing in your 401k plus $7,320 growing in your Roth IRA. You're effectively investing almost $38,000 a year, but because of tax efficiency, it only costs you about $23,000 from your take-home pay. You're buying $38,000 in future freedom for the price of $23,000 today. That's tax arbitrage. That's what wealthy people do. And you have access to it right now just for being over 50, but you have to activate it. So that's February. You call HR or log into your benefits portal. You increase your 401k contribution to the absolute maximum allowed. You set up automatic deposit to your Roth IRA with your tax refund or tax savings. You turn your payroll system into an automated wealth building machine, and you never touch those settings again. Step 3, March and April. 2 months dedicated to activating the health savings account, the tax superweapon that 90% of people completely ignore. If you have a high deductible health plan, you're eligible for an HSA, health savings account. This is the only account in the American tax code with triple tax advantage. You put money in tax-free, it grows tax-free, and if you use it for qualified medical expenses, you take it out tax-free. Here's the play that people over 50 need to understand. You don't use the HSA as a spending account. You use it as a medical retirement account. When you go to the doctor and have a $50 copay, you pay cash from your checking account. You save the receipt. You leave the money in the HSA completely untouched, invested in the stock market. Why? Because at 65, you will have medical expenses. That's guaranteed math. Medicare doesn't cover everything. You'll have co-pays, deductibles, prescription drugs, dental care, hearing aids. The average 65-year-old spends over $150,000 on medical expenses during retirement. Expenses Medicare doesn't cover. But if you maxed out your HSA for 15 years from 50 to 65, investing the maximum contribution of approximately $4,300 a year for an individual or $8,550 for a family, at 65 you'll have over $120,000 in that account. Completely tax-free, specifically designated for your medical expenses. That protects your other retirement assets from being drained by hospital bills. So that's March and April. You confirm you're enrolled in a high-deductible health plan that qualifies for HSA. You open the HSA account if you don't have one already. You set up automatic contributions to max out the annual limit, and you invest that money in low-cost index funds inside the HSA, not leave it sitting in cash earning nothing. This account becomes your medical insurance policy for retirement. Step 4, May and June. Build the 6-month emergency cushion. Now I know what you're thinking. Charlie, you just told me to max out my 401k and my HSA. That's already eating up a huge chunk of my paycheck. How do I build an emergency fund at the same time? Here's the brutal truth. If you can't do both simultaneously, you're living above your means, period. You need to go back to step one and cut deeper. Sell the second car. Move to an even smaller apartment. Cancel whole life insurance and switch to term. Find the money because you need both. Why is the emergency fund so critical? Because without it, you'll be forced to sell your long-term investments at the worst possible time. When the market drops 30%, which it will do at least once in the next 15 years, and you lose your job or have a medical emergency, you'll have to cash out your 401k. You'll pay taxes, you'll pay early withdrawal penalties, and you'll turn a temporary paper loss into a real permanent loss. The emergency fund prevents forced selling. It gives you the patience to let compound interest work. So what's the number? 6 months of essential expenses in cold hard cash, not 6 months of your current wasteful lifestyle, 6 months of your new lean post-audit lifestyle. If you cut your expenses down to $3,500 a month, you need $21,000 in your emergency fund. Does that sound impossible? Let me show you the math. If you eliminated $2,000 a month in wasted expenses in step one, and you're making $85,000 a year, you have approximately $7,000 a month in gross income, about $5,000 net. You max out your 401k at $2,500 a month. You max out your HSA at $350 a month. That leaves $2,150 for living expenses and emergency savings. If your lean expenses are $3,500 a month, the numbers don't work yet. You need to cut more or earn more. That's reality. Nobody said this would be comfortable, but if you can get expenses down to $3,000 a month by working a side hustle that generates $500 extra monthly, suddenly you're saving $650 a month for emergencies. In 10 months, you have your $6,500, add your April tax refund, and you hit $21,000 in 1 year. So that's May and June. Cut to the bone if necessary. Take an extra delivery job on weekends if you need to. Do freelance work at night. Sell items you don't use. Direct every extra penny to building that $21,000 cushion in a high-yield savings account, earning at least 4%. That cushion is your foundation. Without it, the whole structure collapses in the first storm. Step 5. July and August. Optimize asset allocation and eliminate wealth-killing fees. Now that you're contributing the maximum, now that you have your emergency reserve, we need to make sure the money inside those accounts is actually working for you. This is where most people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars without even realizing it. Look at the math. If you're paying a financial advisor 1% of your portfolio annually, plus the fees on the mutual funds he puts you in that add up to another 0.75%, you're losing 1.75% of your money every year. On a $1 million portfolio over 15 years, a 1.75% fee versus a 0.10% fee costs over $250,000 in lost returns. $250,000 transferred from your pocket to Wall Street's pocket. I believe in low costs. I believe in efficiency. I believe in index funds that charge 0.03% to 0.10% a year. You don't need a financial advisor charging 1% to put you in expensive funds. You need a simple strategy you understand and never change. Here's the allocation I would use if I was starting at 50. 80% in a US total stock market index fund, like Vanguard Total Stock Market. 20% in a US total bond market index fund, like Vanguard Total Bond Market. That's it, 2 funds. Total fee of approximately 0.05% per year. Why 80% in stocks at 50 when every financial advisor says to preserve capital and go heavy on bonds? Because you don't have capital to preserve yet. You're trying to get to $1 million. If you shift to bonds now accepting 4% returns, inflation will erode your savings. You'll run out of money. You need growth. Stocks at 7% over 15 years, with monthly contributions of $2,500, results in approximately $760,000. Bonds at 4% over 15 years with the same contributions results in approximately $560,000. That's a $200,000 difference. Just from playing defense too early, you can't afford to play defense yet. Now, there will be years when the market drops 20% or 30%. That will happen. When it does, you do nothing. You don't sell, you don't panic. You look at your 6-month emergency reserve, take a deep breath, and leave everything exactly where it is. Every recession in American history was followed by a recovery that hit new highs. Every single one. So that's July and August. You log into your 401k and HSA accounts. You check what you're invested in. If you're in funds with fees above 0.50%, you switch to low-cost index funds. If you're working with an advisor charging 1%, you fire them and invest yourself. It's simpler than it sounds. Buy the whole market, set automatic contributions, and never log in again except once a year to rebalance. Step 6. September and October. These 2 months are dedicated to protecting your biggest asset, your ability to generate income. At 50, your biggest asset isn't your savings yet. It's your ability to work and earn money for the next 15 years. If you become disabled and can't work, this whole plan falls apart. You need disability insurance. Most people have inadequate disability insurance through work that covers only 60% of income up to a low maximum cap. If you're making $85,000, your work insurance might pay only $40,000 a year if you become disabled. You can't live on that, especially when you need to maintain retirement contributions. You need a supplemental individual disability insurance policy that covers at least 70% of your income until age 65. This will cost $150 to $300 a month, depending on your health and occupation. Sounds expensive until you realize you're protecting over $1 million in future earnings. And you need life insurance if you have dependents or a spouse who relies on your income. Not whole life insurance, which is a terrible investment product with high fees. Term life insurance. 20-year term, $500,000 to $1 million in coverage. This will cost $50 to $150 a month and guarantees that if something happens to you, your family doesn't collapse financially. So that's September and October. You call an independent insurance broker, not someone who works for one company and only sells their products. You get quotes for disability and term life insurance. You compare at least 3 companies. You buy the coverage, and you sleep better, knowing that even if the worst happens, your plan doesn't fall apart. Step 7, November and December. This is the discipline test and year 2 planning. In November, you're tired. You've been at this for 10 months. You've been living on less. You've been maxing out contributions. And the holidays are coming. This is where most people quit. They say, I've been so good all year, I deserve to treat myself. And they spend $3,000 on Christmas presents and holiday travel. And then January comes and they're back to being behind. I've watched this pattern for 70 years. November and December destroy more financial progress than any other months because people confuse making progress with having arrived. You haven't arrived. You're in year 1 of a 10 to 15-year plan. You don't relax now. Here's what I would do in November. I commit to 0 extra spending. No holiday inflation. Not this year is different. I would give gifts that cost nothing. My time, homemade food, handwritten letters. I tell my family I'm building a solid financial foundation this year. In the future, I'll be able to be more generous, but this year, I need to finish what I started. Some people won't understand. Some people will judge you. Let them. They're not paying your bills. And in 10 years, when you're comfortably retired and they're still working because they have to, you won't care what they thought about your homemade gifts in 2026. Here's what I would focus on instead. I would do a complete review of the last 11 months. How much did I earn? How much did I save? How much is in my retirement accounts now? Am I on track? What worked? What didn't work? And I would make the detailed plan for year 2. Because November and December aren't about celebrating progress. They're about protecting progress and planning the acceleration. You see, the first year is the hardest. It's when you're building new habits, fighting old patterns, feeling the pain of adjustment. Year 2 gets easier. You've already cut the fat. You already know how to live lean. Now you can focus on earning more instead of just spending less. In year 2, you negotiate that raise you've been putting off. You switch to a job that pays 15% more. You turn your weekend side hustle into a real side business. You take every dollar of that increased income and put it straight into investment accounts. You accelerate. So in December, I would sit down and write out the plan for year 2. What's my income goal? Am I looking for a job change or negotiating a raise? What skill can I learn that increases my market value by 20%? Can I get certifications? Can I network into a new industry? What will my life look like 24 months from now if I keep this pace? And then I would commit the same way I committed to year 1. Not for a week, not for a month, not for 6 months. For the next full 12 months. Because here's the truth, most people never start. Of the people who start, most quit in the first 90 days. Of the people who make it 90 days, most quit in November and December when the holidays tempt them. But if you're reading this in December and you actually made it, you completed the 12 months, you're now in the top 5% of people who try to change their financial life and actually execute. You're no longer behind and desperate. You're no longer winging it. You're a wealth builder. You have a system. And next year, you'll build even more. Now let me show you exactly what this looks like in practice, with real numbers. Let me introduce you to Linda. Linda is 52 years old. She got divorced at 48, which destroyed her savings. She makes $80,000 a year as a project manager, but she only has $35,000 in her 401k. She feels hopeless. She calculates that at 65, she'll have maybe $200,000 if she stays on her current path. That's not enough. Linda decides to apply this exact plan. In January, she does the audit. She's spending $5,800 a month. She sells her SUV with a $650 payment and buys a 2015 Honda Civic for $9,000 cash using part of her week emergency savings. She moves from her 2-bedroom rental house at $200 to a 1-bedroom apartment at $1,400. She cancels gym, streaming, everything. Her new monthly expenses are $3,200. She freed up $2,600 a month. In February, she calls HR. She increases her 401k contribution from 6% to the absolute maximum allowed, approximately $2,500 a month, considering catch-up contribution. Her gross monthly income is $6,666. After taxes and maxed 401k, she takes home approximately $3,400. She lives on $3,200. She saves $200 a month for emergencies. From March to June, she adds an HSA, another $350 a month. She takes on a side job doing freelance project management consulting 10 hours a week, earning an extra $2,500 a month. Now she can cover expenses, max 401k and HSA, and save $1,350 a month for emergencies. In 8 months, she has $10,000 in emergencies. She adds another $8,000 from her side work. She hits $18,000 in her emergency reserve by September. From July to December, she keeps everything in place. Maxes contributions, lives lean, side work continues. By the end of December 2026, Linda's 401k has grown from $35,000 to $72,000. Her HSA has $4,000. Her emergency reserve has $21,000. Total net worth of $97,000, up from $35,000 12 months ago. Linda continues for another 12 years until 65. She maintains maximum contributions. She maintains the lean lifestyle. She continues side work for another 3 years, then stops when she hits comfortable reserves. She negotiates 2 raises, taking her income from $80,000 to $95,000 by age 58. Based on historical market returns of 7% annually, at 65, Linda has approximately $1.1 million across her 401k HSA and taxable investment accounts. She went from almost nothing at 52 to millionaire at 65. Did she have to make sacrifices? Absolutely. She had to live like someone making $40,000 while making $80,000. She worked nights and weekends for 3 years. She drove a car with 150,000 miles while her friends drove new SUVs. But now at 65, she has freedom. She has a 7-figure nest egg that will generate $44,000 a year in passive income using the 4% rule, plus her Social Security of approximately $24,000. She'll live better retired than she did working. That's the plan applied. It's not magic. It's arithmetic applied with discipline. That's what separates people who actually hit $1 million from those who sabotage themselves. So that's the plan. 7 steps, 12 months. Start 2026 with less than 100,000 saved and over 50 years old, and build the foundation for $1 million by 65. Let me be very clear about something. This plan works. I know it works because it's based on the same principles I used, that Warren Buffett used when he was young, that every wealthy person I know who built their own fortune used at some point. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference aggressively. Let compound interest work. Don't touch it. But here's what nobody wants to hear. Most of you won't do this. You'll read this, you'll nod along, you'll say, yeah, makes sense. And then you'll go right back to doing exactly what you were doing before. You'll keep spending money you don't have on things you don't need. You'll keep hoping something magical happens while doing nothing different. And next year, you'll be in exactly the same place, 1 year older, closer to retirement, wondering why nothing changed. Don't be that person. If you're going to start 2026 with less than 100,000 saved and over 50 years old, you have a choice right now. You can waste another year, or you can commit to this plan. Not for a week, not for a month, not for 6 months, for the entire year, all 12 months. I'm 99 years old. I've been doing this for 7 decades, and I'm telling you, if you follow this plan, in 12 months you won't recognize your financial life, but you need to start today, right now. January, forensic audit, cut spending in half. February, max out 401k with catch-up contributions. March and April, activate and max out HSA. May and June, build 6-month emergency reserve. July and August, optimize asset allocation and eliminate fees. September and October, protect your income ability with proper insurance. November and December, maintain discipline through holidays and plan year 2. That's it. That's the whole plan. 7 steps, 12 months. From behind and desperate to millionaire in the making, the choice is yours.